Am I the jerk for letting one parent stay in my condo and not the other? My wife and I have a fairly small condo, 13 square feet, with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. My mother retired last year and moved back to my home state because she could not afford to retire where I live. This is also the second time moving back to this state. A month after retiring and moving, she wanted to come visit and stay the winter for about 3 months. I ran it by my wife, who was not a fan of that length of stay, and frankly, I was not either. My mother is a lot to handle. She is loud, always in and out, and cannot handle silence, always needing to talk. I told her we could not house her for that long. We could do 2 weeks at most. My wife works midnights, and I work from home in a basement office so she can sleep. At this time, our elderly dog was having some health issues. My mother planned on bringing her dog, which would make 3 dogs in the house. I explained this to her, and she said fine, which was not fine apparently. She ended up staying with her friend and left to go back home after 2 weeks. 3 months later, she wanted to come visit again. Our elderly dog was diagnosed with cancer and needed to be let out every 2 hours, night and day. I explained to her that now was definitely not a good time to come out and visit. She hated where she lived and had been complaining non-stop. I am not sure why she moved to a place that she knew she hated. It got to a point where it was affecting my mental health and draining me. She decided randomly to come out anyway and stay with her friend again. My dog passed away while she was driving out here. My wife and I were extremely upset and not handling it very well. My mother gave me a little space when that happened until she got into a fight about 3 days later with her friend and wanted to stay with us. I told her it was not possible. She got mad at me and hit me with the "I don't know why I am being treated like this," basically dropping a guilt trip on me. Eventually, she ended up heading home again. 2 months later, my birthday rolled around. My father called me 3 weeks before, asking if it was okay if he came out for my birthday and if he needed to get a hotel. I ran it by my wife, and she said it was fine if he wanted to stay with us. He is super chill and quiet, the complete opposite of my mother. My mother found out and hit me with another guilt trip, grilling me about why she was not able to stay with us. I understand it is a double standard, and I did not handle it very well, but I was trying my best. I feel like I was in the wrong here. You are not in the wrong here. Your dad respects your boundaries, while your mom walks all over them. You have every right to decide who gets to visit, especially since you pay for the condo. Plus, your mom sounds very childish and self-centered, making it completely reasonable not to invite her. Am I the jerk for refusing to babysit my niece and nephew? My sister has 2 children who are 10 and 7 years old. My wife and I have 3 children who are 7, 5, and 2 years old. My sister and I do not interact very often. We were always distant, and nothing changed for us as adults or when we had children. I do not like my sister very much. I find my sister to be very domineering and tough to get along with. She does not like compromise and believes berating people is an acceptable way to communicate with others. She is also 4 years older than I am, which does not help with how she talks to me. I do not spend much time with her children either. I would not say they are strangers, but I would not expect them to be the most comfortable around me or my wife either. They see us less than 5 times a year, and sometimes that is more at a distance than us actually talking to them. What I have seen from my sister as a mother is someone who is just as domineering and controlling. She does not like her children eating any junk food and does not let them eat any kind of sweet food. This has led to fights with other members of the family who had these types of foods out in their homes, and my sister did not appreciate her children being exposed to them. She also commented on my children eating candy, and I told her to leave me alone. When she asked my wife and me to take her children after school on Fridays until 9 p.m. and all day Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., which would turn into 2 full days for the summer, I said no. She was more surprised than I expected, and she told me I should want time with my niece and nephew and that my children should know their cousins better. I told her I had no interest in following all her rules, so that was not going to happen. She told me I could help them out and that it was not her and her husband's fault their jobs were now taking over late in the week. I told her it was not my fault or my problem either. She asked my wife, who told her to speak to me. I told my sister not to try and get around this. I told her it was not going to happen and she needed to find someone else. She told me I was throwing away an amazing opportunity and that I should be willing to help my family out. Now I doubt my quick refusal a little because of this, and I wanted to ask, am I the asshole? You are not the jerk. She has established herself as such a prickly and intrusive person, and it's now coming back at her. Funny how not being nice and being difficult doesn't have people wanting to deal with you. Anyone who asks for such a huge favor and phrases it as a benefit to the person doing the favor will cause nothing but drama. Am I the jerk for not giving up part of my outfit so my friend wouldn't be kicked out of the restaurant? 2 friends of mine are visiting the country I live in this week. We are all in our early to mid-30s. I am a practicing Muslim woman, so I obey the conditions of hijab. This is something all my friends know. Bella is a school teacher and is here since it's her half-term break in the United Kingdom. She has come with some friends of hers and is definitely here for more of a party holiday. Sophia's husband has business interests here, and she came with him to help with those and also to catch up with friends, like me, who live in this country. Since there was an overlap, we decided to get together and go out for a meal. Sophia made a reservation at a Michelin-starred place for dinner. Bella agreed to come but said she was going to go to a club with her friends later in the night. I figured Bella would go back to her hotel and get ready for clubbing with her other friends. Instead, she turned up at the restaurant in a very tight and low-cut short dress. It was very much against the dress code and the maitre d' didn't in it. Sophia spoke to him, and he ended up just giving Bella a shawl to cover her shoulders and chest before seating us. But she was still clearly not in dress code. I guess someone else complained about it because the waitstaff came back and asked if Bella was able to change, or she'd be asked to leave. I was wearing an abaya over a dress with tight half sleeves. Bella turned to me and asked me to give her my abaya so she could wear it over her outfit. I said no because then my arms would be uncovered, and that's inappropriate for me. She kept insisting even when I was refusing. Sophia told her she was being insensitive and that she had been aware of the dress code before she came. The whole time the staff were standing there and people were looking at and whispering about us. In the end, Sophia took her jacket and gave it to Bella, and then she put the shawl across her legs. As soon as the meal was done, Bella rushed off and hasn't spoken to us aside from one message in the group chat calling us dicks. I don't think I was the antagonist, but I've never seen Bella act like this before, so I'm confused. You did nothing wrong here. Bella was unprepared and expected everyone to accommodate her instead of taking responsibility for understanding the cultural norms. If she wanted someone else's abaya, then that person would be left inappropriately dressed. It's clear the fault lies with Bella, and once she calms down, she'll likely realize it herself. Am I the jerk for ruining my mom's relationship with her sister? I, 20-year-old female, spent a few of my summers with my mother's half-sister, 50-year-old female. When I was younger, while my mother was away for business trips or vacations, my mother, who is a single parent, never dropped me off without permission, and she always gave my aunt money to look after me. My aunt always complained that I was too picky because I did not like to eat breakfast. A lot of breakfast foods make me feel queasy. She would compare me to her children who never complained about what they ate. Let's be clear, I never complained to her or my mother about not being able to eat breakfast. I would usually watch TV while they ate. My aunt also complained about how opinionated I am, but she never told my mother about any of the problems she had with me. One summer when I was probably 11 or 12, my mother dropped me off and my aunt abruptly informed me that we would be going to see her cousins who were visiting from abroad. When we got there, I met her cousins' children who were the same age as me and we hit it off immediately. My aunt's children tried to hang out with us, but they were 7 and 6 years old. You can understand how us 12-year-olds did not want to spend our time talking about 7-year-old stuff with them. We spent the entire summer going over to see her cousins and their children. One day, my aunt told me she was going out to the store to get something with her children, and she would be back by the time I finished watching my movie. They had been gone for maybe 5 hours and I could not call her because I did not have a phone with me. Even if I did not know her number. I started to freak out and went to the bedroom, locked myself in, and continued to wait for them. My aunt and cousins finally came back around 9 p.m., and she did not say a word to me. She just went to bed. The next day, she told me to get in the car. I inquired about where we were going, but she ignored me. We arrived at her cousin's house and immediately, one of the children ran over to me and said, "It's great to see you're doing better. You almost missed the trip because you were sick." Sick? Me? I looked at my aunt and she smiled at me tightly. Then I lied about being sick and miraculously getting better the next morning. Apparently, her cousins had planned a tour with a shuttle bus and everything, and had invited all of us, but I had conveniently gotten sick. Unfortunately for my aunt, the shuttle bus canceled the day before and told them they would be available the next day. I did not really take this experience to heart. Last year, while reminiscing about my summers at my aunt's, I told my mother about the whole thing, but I was shocked to see that she did not find my aunt's foiled plan as funny as I did. She called her and yelled at her for abandoning me when she was supposed to be taking care of me. Their relationship has not been the same since, and my aunt blames me. Am I the asshole for even bringing it up to begin with? I think you are not in the wrong here. You're under no obligation to cover up your aunt's neglect. If telling the truth about what she did causes a rift, that's her problem, not yours. You didn't share it with malicious intent. You just thought it was a story to share with your mom. The burden is on your aunt for her actions, not on you for revealing them. Am I the jerk for getting my sibling to do my prom makeup 2 years in a row when they wouldn't do our stepsiblings' makeup too? I, an 18-year-old female, had my sister, a 22-year-old female, do my makeup for prom last year and again this year. My sister is really good at doing makeup, and we are close, which is why she was cool with doing my makeup both times and for free. This year was a little more of a big deal, and I want to hear what others have to say. For the last 8 years we have had a stepsister, who is a year younger than me. Our mother married our stepsister's father. My sister has no contact with our mother's husband, and our stepsister. We kept in touch, but she only talks to me and doesn't have anything to do with our stepsister. Last year, my stepsister got really jealous that my sister did my prom makeup and was upset that she wasn't invited along. She wanted sister time. This year, because she was also going to prom, she wanted my sister to do her makeup too, and we could all hang out while it happened. My sister didn't want to do it, and I still wanted my sister to do it and didn't care that I wouldn't have my stepsister there. She is okay, but I don't think of us as close or as sisters, because I went to my sister so she could do my makeup. My mother and her husband were pretty upset that I went again, knowing she excluded our stepsister. My mother told me I could have stayed, and my stepsister and I could have done each other's makeup and bonded better. I told my mother that wasn't what I wanted, and I wanted my sister to do it. It became a fight. My mother's husband asked why he and my mother got married if the three of us, my sister, stepsister, and I, weren't going to have a sisterly relationship. I told him I couldn't answer that because I didn't have any choice. A week and a half after prom, my stepsister came into my room and read a letter she wrote about how badly I hurt her feelings. She said all she wanted was for us to see her as a sister and treat her the same as we treat each other. I know it was meant to make me feel guilty because she kept getting more and more into her wishes and dreams and how she had a rough life before her dad married our mom. But I was in the middle of finishing a final project, and it annoyed me that she was in there. When she didn't get me to feel guilty, she called me a whore. I told my sister what was going on, and she ended up telling me to move in with her, which I did. That's when my mother really went crazy, telling me how awful I was. She asked me if my sister doing my makeup was worth all this, and told me I should be ashamed for the selfish decision I made when I went ahead with it. Am I the asshole? Sounds like mom is about to be no contact with both her daughters. Like most estranged parents, she just won't understand why or acknowledge her fault in any way. Your sister has no contact with your mom for a reason, and there's no reason to expect her to do her stepsister's makeup. Lol, it seems like her husband married her just for an automatic family for his daughter. Am I the jerk for inviting my parents to my house after they didn't respond to my fiancé's medical emergency? My fiancé Ally, a 31-year-old female, is the type of person who calls people 2 or 3 times in a row when she wants to get a hold of them for anything. The first time she did this to my parents, we were driving to a concert, and I asked her to call my folks from my phone. She called, they didn't pick up. She started calling my mother again right away, and I asked what she was doing. My mother picked up right away, worried. Ally asked our question. I told my mother it was a false alarm, then hung up. She asked why my mother had been irritated, and I explained to her that in my family, we only call twice in a row if it's an emergency. Ally has never followed this and will always call them repeatedly for the most mundane stuff. If one doesn't answer, she'll sometimes call my other parent. A couple of weeks ago, she broke her leg while working around the house. I was in a workshop for work that day and could only check my phone on breaks. She called my parents since they live a couple of streets over, but neither answered their phones. She wound up having to call an ambulance. I got her message about 2 hours after she fell and went to the hospital. She was pretty mad at my parents when I got there. I let them know what happened, and they also rushed to the hospital to apologize and check on her. She didn't want them coming in, so they sat outside for a bit, got her flowers from the gift shop, and eventually went home. I took some time off work to take care of her, and my parents have been offering help as they could. Her sister drove in to help so I could go back to work. Last night, I decided to make a nicer dinner than usual and wanted to invite my parents. I gave her a heads up I was inviting them and asked if she wanted me to rearrange some of the chairs and table so we could all eat together. She got mad I wanted to invite them and is of the mind I shouldn't be wanting to see or speak with them after they ignored her. Her sister agrees with her and feels I'm putting my parents over my soon-to-be wife. Up until this point, I haven't said anything to her about the situation, but I did then and told her it was a massive miscommunication on everyone's part and that it was time we all talked it out to put it behind us. Neither she nor her sister think she should stop being mad at them. Was I an asshole to invite my parents over? My parents were sitting outside for their quiet time when she called. It's not unusual for them to not answer calls or texts and wait to return them later when they do that. I myself had to do the 2 calls routine, so they knew it was urgent. Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. You explained the communication norms in your family after the first time she double called, but she didn't listen. As a result, your parents had no way to know it was an emergency instead of just another Tuesday. Ally made the usual number of calls that she does for any occasion and didn't text to let them know this was actually an emergency. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.